Very hot conditions at Patterson Stadium, but as you can see, a brilliant day for footy and into an early evening, which promises a lot between the West Coast Eagles and the Western Bulldogs. Danny Frawley and Jared Healy in commentary, and that man Adam Simpson, we spoke to him about half an hour ago, Spud. He was a little nervous, as you'd expect. Big evening for him.
Of course, it's going to be very interesting to see how they fare this afternoon against the West Coast Eagles, who had a poor record here last year. It was an unbelievable record, wasn't it, last year?
It certainly was. They only won 3 out of 12, Hutto. The 2 previous seasons before that, they won 21 out of 24. It was a real fortress. And they needed them really good. Nat Nui only played 11 games. Waters only played the 7. Wellingham was recruited from Collingwood, had ankle either end of the season. So Shannon Hearn missed a lot of footy. So durability is the number one thing. If they get durability and some really consistent form, their form did fall away. Obviously a new coaching staff, a lot of IP out of the club with John Worsfold, the legend, handing over the reins to Adam Simpson. Phil Walsh has gone to Port Adelaide, Scotty Burns to Collingwood. So a really young, enthusiastic coaching staff in what is a really powerhouse club in the West Coast Eagles.
And the West Coast Eagles too have got a very strong side. Young Dom Sheed named as their first pick in the draft last year as the sub.
Yeah, the sub. Elliot Yeo there from Brisbane on the halfback flank, and Xavier Ellis. Both guys can use the ball. So we know Adam Simpson will love the Hawthorn model. And you have a look at that spine again. Glass, McKenzie, Kennedy, Darling. Throw in Nat Nui and Cox. And of course, Sinclair was a big surprise for me. That means that Nat Nui and Cox will spend a lot of time up in the forward line to really stretch the Bulldogs' defence.
So we're just about set to go here at Patterson Stadium. Just 25 seconds away from the opening bounce. Will Minson, as we've said, has got a huge job ahead of him. Got some support from Tom Campbell, and he'll certainly need his small men underneath. It's Jamie Bennell, and playing for the Eagles, the former Demon, and Josh Kennedy. What a handful he could be for Morris. We'll find out shortly. 2014 for both the Western Bulldogs and the West Coast Eagles is about to begin at Patterson Stadium in brilliant sunshine. And the first leap for the Eagles, superbly guided from Nick Natanui down to Selwood and into the 50. What about that for going to plan? And I think it's Jack Darling underneath there who's taken the mark.
Quick drop into the right-hand side, Spud. Natanui gets the ball to midfield. It goes long, mark inside forward 50, and Darling has come up with a beautiful overhead mark.
Jack Darling has 11 goals in 5 games against the Bulldogs, and he strikes early here at Patterson Stadium, and you can see what it means to them. He's more renowned as a forward, showing his dexterity down deep. Boyd, the former skipper, out to the wing. He's outnumbered there, his target Campbell. Goods comes in to level up the numbers. Glass with a physical approach, but matched by Campbell. And the scrap is on now as it hits the floor. The Dogs able to control it. Cooney took it away, and great to see him involved early. There's a free kick. He decides to make it a free handball to Liberatore. Straight away, he was in a world of pain against Selwood, who's not going to let him roam free this evening, you wouldn't think. Hurried kick from Cooney. Nicely controlled down there by McKenzie, who comes away, drills it to a true one-on-one. Wellingham outpoints Picken. Footy in the back pocket with Picken these days, playing the small defender role rather than the on-ball tagger.
Very rarely gets beat down there too. Picken.
Great defensive punch. It's to set up a possible shot at goal. It could be.
It was Ellis that started it, and Cripps who should finish it, and he does, and he gives the Eagles back the lead.
Well, I think this is your department, Spud.
No, that's just a magnificent spoil. And you have a look at it, Jared. And what it does, it's effectively a kick because all the Western Bulldogs players are offline, and Ellis just launched himself out the back. I think he even got the surprise. A beautiful spike, a great volley there from Darling to Cox. That is a great team goal.
Selwood goes, well, he tried to for a torp, I think. Misfired, but a wonderful result.
We've got Sinclair on Johansson deep at the moment if the Eagles can get it through.
And that was Yeo feeding to the long, powerful kick of Hearn. Scooped in beautifully by Sinclair, and he says, go fetch. Kicks it long and strong, and into the 50. Cripps decided to go with a flow, and the flow was good. 2 in a row for Cripps and the Eagles.
And like a few other sides, 6 new coaches in the AFL this year. They're trying to implement new styles. There was a handball received missed.
Gaff bombs away. Natanui couldn't get the run he was after. Eastonwood, they're circling again, the Dogs. They need to because the Eagles are so close to goal. The extra handball using the extra numbers. Oh, Wallace's kick smothered by Shuey. For the Dogs, 6 to Higgins. and Dixon 5 to Liberatore and Picken. Eagles lead by 7, but they certainly haven't had it all their own way. Natanui couldn't bring it down after the great leap. McRae spread it to Higgins. He's just done enough to get it back to him. Dixon, the initial grasp was terrific and it just came loose. And the Eagles were able to jar it out of there.
Hutto, it's a long, long game this, and they're not going to get any smaller, those boys, in the last quarter.
Liberatore with an opportunity. Hasn't had too many so far. Being shadowed brilliantly by Selwood. Pritis tries to burst through. Oh, Rosa somehow out of the maze. High ball to full forward. Sinclair was charging out, but it fell well short. And Lacroix sensed an opportunity. And you fancy he'll take it. Of course, missed 2012 after a pre-season injury. Came back last year. Kicked 30 goals. Lacroix puts that one through. And the Eagles edge away. And Tom Campbell. Hurried kick away.
Too many times they've got the quick kick away and the Eagles have been in front. It's something that needs to be addressed by the coaching staff and the players themselves. This is going to have to be a short kick, no one deep.
Hearn to Kennedy, Nick Natanui.
In the back, surely.
Seconds are precious now for the Dogs. We thought, well, defensively it is. It's a worry. 8 seconds. The countdown's on. Johannesson's got it. Nev got him. Will it cut out of there? He's got to try something. Siren sounds. Oh, saved by the bell. Skin of the teeth stuff that for the Western Bulldogs. What a critical non-decision that could prove to be. Played 51 games in his first 3 years and then 6 in the next. And got injured, and that was it for him at the Demons. Wallace digs it out, but it's all West Coast on the outside. On the periphery, they're running with Shuey and now Wellingham. The former Pie sets it up for Kennedy, just holding, and now holding the footy. Kennedy probably feels like he's owed at least a shot at goal, so he'll still be a little fired up. This boundary throw in. Cox. Hearn tried to push his way onto it. Goods. Lacroix, he owes them one at the top of the square. Kennedy, Darling got shoved and could have got a free. McRae.
Good tackle, Kennedy.
Kennedy was centimetres away from winning that free. Gaff did his best.
But Jared, that's why you could go with 3 talls in your forward line when you have them putting that much pressure.
Hearn just had a bit of sun to contend with. Kicked it wide. McKenzie got Marston ready for the handball give, but he decides he's going to go by foot instead. Penetrating ball, busy intersection, top of the square. They come from all angles. Wellingham, Kennedy, still looking to get that one back. McRae switching it for Murphy, time to assess. Bypasses Shuey and put it back into the hands of McRae, who gives and wants it back again. Got it from Stevens, and the Dogs onto the wing.
Well, Cramry on over the back.
They're getting some marks. Long kick, Cramry. He'll take it about 65 from goal. He'll do the maths here. Think about a run, a bounce, and he didn't have a chance to steady himself. Didn't quite get the equation right after all.
Well, his mistake was keeping the ball in. He might have been pinged, but they were going to lose it anyway.
Roughhead, deft little give. And eventually it is Wood, who can stride out here with a bounce. And think about his next option. It's a short option. It's a good option. Inside the 50. And Cramry decides that he can kick it from here. Or maybe he's going to pass it. Decides, into the sun for Goods. It was difficult, more difficult than Cramry could have imagined when he let go of the kick.
But it was always going to be a problem when the sun got just on that grandstand roof. And it's cost the Bulldogs probably a goal there.
And they, I think, won the toss with Robert Murphy, so maybe it didn't come into their thinking at the time. Here's Shuey. Good dedication, good diligent stuff from McRae to put the pressure on, but the Eagles, sheer weight of numbers, strolling in Lacroix, he won't miss. Well, it's a big turnaround, as you said, Spud, and now they've got a lot of work to do. Dalhouse heaves it onto the boot. Out to half forward, Hunter.
Strong tackle. There's been some strong tackles in this game so far.
It's not rewarded. Yo was the tackler.
Just stop him from jumping at the ball. That's pretty much a win for the Bulldogs.
And Lacroix and Pritis collaborating with great expertise, but again, the Dogs digging in, they need to. Selwood Oh, Pritis again just hammers it on the boot. It's floating towards the line for a goal.
At the top of the tree of that stat.
Cox angling down. Pritis started to have a really big influence on this game. Murphy with all his guile and experience, but not enough to escape with the footy in hand. Shuey loaded up with instructions to Lacroix first, and then to Rosa, and then to goal for another for the West Coast Eagles.
Well, it's the hit-outs. Minson's trying hard. It's 25-11, and eventually it's going to sway your way in the midfield. If you're dominating around the clearances and getting the ball forward, again, another really good tackle there from Sinclair. The taller players, we saw Kennedy early, and then the overlap running. That is a terrific finish. But it starts around the stoppage work. Again, just the dominance of the height, be in the dangerous space, and that's where he was.
The umpire hooks it back into play. Now to Nui. Cripps, the big first quarter. Roughhead and Morris. Higgins, that last line.
It's just a blaze away. It's a dangerous kick because it comes straight back.
He's got players in the midfield.
This is good spotting.
Yeah, scoped it out well. The mark taken by Yo.
Jeff deep, he's ignored him.
Crowd thinking, like I did, that perhaps he went over the mark.
Play on
All right. Pritis, he knows he wants to get back onto the left, so in the end he had to give it up with a handball. Selwood threw it up high in the air, and it did the rest of the ball. Another one of the West Coast Eagles.
Well, Selwood give the ball to Pritis, the last goal, and Pritis goes, okay, I'll try and get on my left. I can't. They've corralled me left leg. I'll give you a go, Scotty. That's a terrific finish. God, it was a good hit on the back foot.
Hit this one round the corner. Didn't think it had a chance of making the distance, but it's gone through post high.
Yeah, that's a skillful kick.
Right in the middle.
Big second quarter for the West Coast Eagles. They've kicked 4 goals, 2, and restricted the Dogs for just the one straight goal.
Yeah, 12 inside 50s to 4 this quarter, Eagles.
Selwood, aggressive handball, maybe a little too ambitious. Stevens comes away with it. Oh, now up over the top, almost a beauty.
Yeah, I think he's hurt Ellis, I think, Xavier Ellis. I know he's up. Here's Bernal, a little bit of friendly fire there and lands on Xavier Ellis. He's a leading possession getter for the Bulldogs.
Stringer stretching out across half back. His options were drying up as he ran. So he's kicked it to a one-on-one. Murphy versus Brown, but didn't stay one-on-one for too long. The Eagles helping out.
Well, it's been impressive to half-time for the Eagles. They're not far away from half-time. They've outrun the Bulldogs. They've outmarked them. They've outworked them.
Leading into half-time in the Eagles' favour.
No point bringing a running team if they're not prepared to run more than the opposition.
Gaff, the crowd will tell you straight away what they think of that kick. It's through for another. That's 5 for the quarter.
Well, they've kicked the 9 goals, the Eagles, and only 1 from Darling. And as I said, it's all the running players. You know, you look at Rosa, Selwood, Pritis, Lacroix's got 2, Gaff, and Cripps has got 2 as well.
Just looking at the flags, Moons, there seems to be blowing reasonably strongly to that end. Is there much of a breeze out in the ground? Get back to that. Stevens about to kick, but had no awareness that Gaff was coming. Hunted him down successfully. They might still get out of it with a shot for goal here. Might, but not necessarily. Cooney, ever alert. Hurried kick back to the square. Campbell, good thinking, the big man. He's got up and going again, but look at the Eagles. They're just swarming all over him. McKenzie, and Glass knows how to get it out.
Glass did that beautifully. Experience there. Kobe Stevens, just no awareness there. He must have known the cavalry were coming at some stage.
But they've had good response from and good buy-in from all the team.
Oh, Natanui thrilling the crowd again. And he charges off as Rosa kicks to half forward down to Cox. Well, Nick Nat was,
was in the back.
He was just about to arrive on the scene.
And I think Brendan McCartney will be looking at the contested ball. Forget the scoreboard. Just get the basics right in the third quarter. You can't have a deficiency of 88 to 64.
Selwood manhandled in there. Dives in after it again. They feed it out the back. And that ends a very good quarter for the West Coast Eagles. And at the end of it, they lead by 39 points. 9-4-58, leading the Dogs 3-1-19. The challenge has really been set to the Western Bulldogs here. A lot of thinking to do during the halftime break.